big things can happen for your defense. And as Patrick Graham said, he's going to simplify, allow his players to make it happen. We're going to take away the screen. Great job by Bilal Nichols here, taking away the screen. And what that gives is Max an opportunity to get after the quarterback. If you have complementary players, understanding, being smart. Once we'll see again, we have opportunities if we have smart football players. Once again, got to take away the guy's first read.
Wait, did you hear that? Let's rewind that.
Once again, got to take away the guy's first read.
So here's a resurgent Raiders team with a new head coach that was a former linebacker who has been focusing on taking away the first read of quarterbacks. Sound familiar? And he also has an elite pass rusher, if not the best pass rusher in the entire NFL in Max Crosby. That's scary. Can the Raiders actually beat the Miami Dolphins? Well, there's a simple answer. Of course they can. But as a 12-point underdog, with the Miami Dolphins coming off of a bye week and coming back generally healthy, it's not likely. But don't think for a moment that it's not possible. This isn't the same Raiders team from a couple weeks ago. They showed Josh McDaniels the door, gave him the boot, brought in Antonio Pierce, and he has galvanized the locker room. I want you to take a look at this piece right here from inside their locker room after one of their recent wins.
New chapter, we writing our own script. Write our own script, man. That's just one step, man. You guys know how this go. But more importantly, man, this is about us. This is about you. You guys made up your minds what we was gonna do, and we did it. Exactly what the we said, and then we did it. Hey, man, I know the coaches, the whole organization, the whole building is proud of. More importantly, I'm happy for you guys. That was rough the last 2 weeks. Biggest window, the front window. And guess what? Every door we go into, we kicking that from now on. But no thanks about it, man. Hey, man, you know what this time is? I'll see you Wednesday!
And then look at this picture of Davante Adams looking at his head coach. Look at his eyes. This is the same Davante Adams who was seen just a few weeks ago throwing his helmet in disgust after playing with Jimmy Garoppolo. And in 3 short weeks, since Antonio Pierce has been the head coach, look at the difference in his eyes. It's not as if the Raiders went out and got some great new quarterback. They've got Aiden Connell playing instead of Jimmy G. So it's not the quarterback. It's the attitude of this team. It's the culture that's coming back, that Raider culture. And when a team like the Raiders has an attitude, a reinvigorated sense of purpose, a feeling of bringing back the Raiders culture, that makes them kind of dangerous. You've seen it firsthand with the Miami Dolphins. Mike McDaniel has successfully fostered a new culture, a new attitude, a new sense of purpose with this entire team. He took a beat-down quarterback and changed his mindset completely. Antonio Pierce is doing the exact same thing with his guys. I don't think the Raiders have near the talent pool that the Miami Dolphins have, but attitude does count for something. And there's something else that changed with the Raiders once they gave Josh McDaniels the boot. Familiarity and relatability changed instantly. When is the last time the Raiders had that swagger? You see, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but Antonio Pierce is black. And we all know most of the guys in the locker room are black. But did you know that the Raiders made NFL history recently by being the only team with a black president, a black GM, and a black head coach? Listen to Antonio Pierce talk about that right here.
If you can describe the feeling you had when you walked through the tunnel for that very first time and the opportunity to take that picture with Champ and Sandra right after you walked.
First of all, like I said, butterflies. I've had it 3 times as a professional. My first game in the NFL and the Super Bowl. And then my first game as a head coach. That was special. But the other part that was special is the history that we made today. Black president, female, black general manager, Champ Kelly, and then obviously myself. You don't take that for granted. Again, humbled by the opportunity. And when you look at it, it's just something that, if it goes forever, if it doesn't, for that one moment, we had that opportunity. If it's the next 9 games or so ever, let it be. But very humble.
You think that doesn't matter? If the players can't relate to their coach, he's not going to get the most out of those players. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong whatsoever. I am not saying that NFL coaches have to be black. I'm saying the players need to relate to the coach. I don't care what color a coach is, as long as the players feel some sort of familiarity and relatability. And they obviously didn't feel that way under Josh McDaniels. Listen to Keyshawn Johnson explain it right here.
Now you sit there and you look at Davante Adams in that clip right there. He's locked in step, eyeballs on the head coach. It's amazing how you can get a player to respond to you, but the other coach couldn't get the players to stand up and respond to him. And that's all Antonio Pierce. You see right there in that post-game speech that he gave to the team, everybody standing around nodding their heads and buying in. It's a buy-in. If the Raiders went on, and like I said, all of a sudden they go 500 or whatever the case may be, they put themselves in a position to try to fight the Chargers and fight Kansas City for the division. And if that doesn't happen, I can promise you, those players are still going to stand up to make Antonio the permanent head coach. Not only will he probably deserve it, but you want players in the National Football League to be able to respond to people like Antonio. Too many times in this league, the owners hire suits. They hire the guys that they could take to the country club and, oh, here's Jim, I hired him, and they can sit down with their buddies and talk about that. Instead of saying to themselves, it's Antonio Pierce. He's rocking a diamond. When the last time you saw an NFL head coach with a stud in his ear? Certain owners right now are rolling over in their graves looking at that. They're like, oh no, there's no way that my wife would want this. But not anymore. And Mark Davis is showing that right now, that you got to hire people that can resonate with that locker room. Damn upstairs, damn the country club and the bingo rooms and the wine and who can tell you what the label on the wine is and how great the wine is. You hire somebody that like to drink tequila. That's what you should hire.
The similarities with what Mike McDaniel is doing with the Dolphins and what Deion Sanders is doing with Colorado football is where coaching is headed. Coaches need to be relatable to the players that they're coaching. Will this new trend work? I have no idea. As of right now, Mike McDaniel hasn't won anything with the Dolphins and Deion Sanders hasn't won anything with the Colorado Buffaloes. But it's obvious this is the trend. This is where coaching is headed. Actually, I'm wrong. Mike McDaniel and Deion Sanders have successfully created a culture at this point. Will they translate that to wins on the field and championships? I don't know. But they have definitely succeeded in creating culture. And that culture building is something I think can translate to wins. They both have to build upon that. Antonio Pierce is doing the exact same thing. And that factor alone could make the Raiders a formidable opponent moving forward.
I just want to have a coach that I believe in, that I'll run through a wall for. That now I could go to the front office and say, yo, he's doing everything the right way. He's getting it done. We are responding to him. Look at how happy everybody is. Look at the way we are practicing. In reference to Antonio Pierce and the Raiders, for instance, they're playing music in the locker room, okay? A lot of head coaches, man, it would drive them crazy. But the generation and the world that we in, this is what they want. This is going to be somewhat of a Coach Prime effect for the Las Vegas Raiders to a degree. This is professional football. Guys are making millions of dollars, but it's going to be a prime effect to what Antonio Pierce is doing. You watch what I'm telling you.
All that being said, here's the deal. Can the Raiders beat the Miami Dolphins? Of course they can. As I said, this isn't the same team from a few weeks ago or a few months ago, but it's not likely that the Raiders can overcome the firepower of the Miami Dolphins. I think a 12-point spread is definitely correct. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if the Dolphins won by 20 or more. However, if the Miami Dolphins come out with their usual slow start and compile penalty after penalty or turn the ball over, this game could slide away very quickly. But there's no excuse for that. The Dolphins have had an extra week of rest. The coaches have had an extra week of film study and preparation. They should be ready to explode on the Las Vegas Raiders. And now that this team is basically healthy, there is no reason why they shouldn't be able to put the Raiders away early and put a W up on the scoreboard. Let me know what you guys think about the Raiders and their capacity to play with and possibly beat the Miami Dolphins. I don't think it's possible this weekend. I think it's highly unlikely, but the Raiders are going to be a tough team moving forward. Talk to you soon. Ends up.
Is anybody catching on to this Barry guy?